fathers should be recognized and acknowledged. I think there's a stigma in general that black fathers, they father children that they don't help to raise, okay? And we also want to really quick debunk that. Okay. Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. What's up, man?
My guy.
All right, let's jump into this thing. So today, we're in the month of June, right? And we want to acknowledge fathers. We always want to do that for Father's Day. Two reasons today. One reason that to me holds true all the time. Second thing is because of what's in the news as of late. So first reason is just because fathers should be recognized and acknowledged. I think there's a stigma in general that, you know, women are the ones who typically take care of the children. But I think the 1B to that is, and it relates to us, is that black fathers typically they father children that they don't help to raise, okay? And we do want to address something that we'll, in just a second, but we also want to really quick debunk that, okay? He has a great father that is still with his mom, okay? I have a great father who is no longer associated with my mom, but still a great father either way, okay? And the point being is that we are grown, but we are still being fathered by our fathers, okay? If I might add, I'm not only a father to my biological daughter, but I am also a bonus parent, okay? So not only are we talking about being fathers to those that we have brought into this world, but also stepping up and taking care of additional children, which is a blessing, might I add. So that's that. But today we want to talk about Nick Cannon, all right? And
Not just him,
but he's in the news more, I would say, than another individual that we will bring up. Okay, so Nick Cannon has 12 children. Okay, he has 6 women that he has fathered these children with. Okay, 9 of those 12 in the last 2 years. Okay.
putting in that overtime, man.
I would like for you to talk to us because Nick has a perspective as to why, okay? And we don't need to debate whether we agree, disagree, but there is a reason why he says he does this. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I read something, and this was back in 2017. And I think at the time he had only had 4. But anyway, it pretty much was saying, if y'all don't know, Nick Cannon has lupus, very serious. It's a disease, it's a disorder, right? And he had this outlook on, people were asking him, why was he having so many kids? And he pretty much was saying, I could die at any moment, so why not, have fun now, let's smash all night, you know what I mean? And apparently, he was saying that he doesn't really like, I guess, having safe sex. He likes having unprotected sex. And he just, because his future's not really clear. Lupus can take you out of here at any given moment. He's like, let's just do this. I thought that he was doing it just to kind of leave as much of his legacy as he could. And that may also be a point, but this was something that he said verbatim. Like, it wasn't somebody else said. This was a quote that he said.
Wow. I don't know, man. In one way, because the other thing too is, that's a quote. Was that the full context?
Right. And I think he was on Howard Stern, so you know how that is when you get on that show. You just kind of, you know. And I think, you know, Howard Stern, he can kind of bait you into saying stuff like that.
Right. So. And I don't. I think that the idea of mentioning that is to try to get some type of idea about the behavior. Is that normal? I don't think. You have a lot of guys who say they don't want kids or they don't want a lot of kids. So I don't know if debating if it's normal is the right way to go. I mean, personally, I have my own personal beliefs about if that's normal or not. But I think what makes it abnormal is when stuff like this happens. So after he has had children, he's either joked or said things that has caught the headlines. Like, for example, I think he mentioned that he wouldn't mind having his next child with Taylor Swift.
It's random.
And it's like, first things first, bro, you're bringing people into stuff that have nothing to do with your personal life. I don't know if he knows her, if he made that as a joke to her, which, by the way, I don't know if she ever responded to that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you kind of bring people into your dysfunction, and I'm going to say that because however we choose to look at it. And you draw attention that I think can be unnecessary. I think that's one thing. But the other situation, and this is more recent, is that apparently there's her name is Bianca Belair, and he made a joke, and you know, I'll give you context in a second, but he made a joke about impregnating her. Now, why is that a problem? Is there a situation like Taylor Swift? Well, in a sense, because this is a celebrity apparently. But I think the other part about it is it was said while her husband is in the audience. Now, if you don't know about Wildin' Out is a show where there's banter. And so, you know, we're in the midst of a series called The Impact of Hip Hop. And part of hip hop, one of the things in its original form was that there was that battle rap aspect of it. Wildin' Out has that aspect of battle rap. Now, it's more of the ha-ha part of it, the light-sided part of it, which shout out to Nick for that it's not intense and it's not, you know, you're not trying to come at somebody's neck per se. But it's more of what can I say for the wow factor.
Shock value.
The shock value. Bruh. The husband laughed it off because I saw the clip. And you definitely got people saying wow, and you definitely got people with their jaws to the floor. Okay? Now it was laughed off, unlike the Chris Rock Jada joke. Okay? It was laughed off. Not laughed off and then you rush the stage.
And what I was asking you, because I don't watch Wildin' Out, but it seems as though that's kind of par for the course for the show.
It is.
So I was asking, I was like, you know, was that really, you know, is it more tolerable because it was on that show rather than if it was in another environment?
Okay. So where he's going, great place, great question. It could be tolerable, but given further context, so I wanted to give you context to show that it wasn't just set out of the blue. Mm-hmm. It was set in the context of battle rap, par for the course for the show, right? But when you already have a large amount of children, and you're known for saying, that's why I said the thing with Taylor Swift, you're known for saying wild things, and that was not on the show. It's kind of like, okay, bro, like, we get that you just want to have a lot of children.
Right.
With, I would say, random women. Okay? Because having 9 children over the course and span of 2 years, that's random. Maybe you know the women, but it's random. It's not someone you're in a relationship with. It's random.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the issue because he's not in a relationship with none of these women. I won't necessarily say random because You know, he does know them, and a few of them he has multiple with.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bigger thing is they are willing to.
That's another.
Yeah, they are willing
that's
to
another.
allow him to impregnate them, knowing that
His track record.
his track record. Yeah.
And again, he's very vocal about his intentions, as
He
we
is.
found out.
He is.
And let's just say you had one with him, right? Well, he done went on and had one here, there, and then he came back to you. So when y'all had that Netflix and chill moment, girl, you knew what it was.
He had what, 4 in a year?
I'm
Did I
not
see
sure,
that?
but he had 9 in 2 years.
Okay.
So it's just kind of
That's
like
crazy.
it is. And again, this is the other thing to balance this out. You know, people will say, "Well, it sounds like you're being judgy." As we go into some other stuff, we're going to talk about some issues or concerns that we do have in our community, which is why the stigma exists. So it's not about being judgmental.
He's out here being flagrant, bro. He's being careless. He's being reckless. Let's just keep it what
Let's call
it
it
is.
what it is.
And then I will say he is owning it. And at least he's being forthcoming about it. But he's just, I don't know, bro. I don't like, you know, he said something. First of all, please stop doing interviews, bro. But I know people are going to continue to interview him because they know he's going to say something that's going to get clicks. It's going to get traction.
Clickbait.
He also said something about Christina Milian. That was his, you know, ex back in the day when they were young. They asked him, is there anybody that you used to have dealings with that you wish you would have had a kid with? And he'll say it, he'll be like, man, I don't want to get in trouble, or I'm going to get in trouble for this, blah, blah, blah. But then he said her. And, you know, she's in a relationship, and I believe she's married.
She's
now.
married.
Like, why would you even, you know, like, why would you even, that's somebody's wife now. Why would you even say stuff like that? But you allowed the interviewer to bait you into saying that. It's just stuff like that.
It's
So not
distasteful.
only are you being reckless, but you're being distasteful.
Yeah,
as
you're
well.
being distasteful.
Yeah. And my thing with Nick is, on a personal level, I always thought, I used to be mad at Nick because Christina Milian, back in the day I was growing up, she was everything to me. She was everything to me. But she got with him, so I always had kind of this, you know, personal thing with him on that note. But it was for joke. I knew I was never going to get with Christina Milian, whatever. You know what I mean? But I always respected his talent. I respected the things that he did. I never forget, you know, before, even though he didn't get tattoos, he was like, you know, my body's a temple. I don't want to ink up my body, this and that. Like, he was just a young, cool, clean-cut cat that all of a sudden, bro, he just went left. You know what I mean? And just, you know, with the tattoos, which is all good. You know, you got tattoos, that's fine. You know, guy with Mariah, and, you know, that was his, he said that was his dream wife, this and that. I think he has her tatted on his back or whatever. But then it's like, he just went left, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
He just, I don't know.
And just going back to, I think when you mentioned Howard Stern, I think that's where when he was being interviewed and actually asked the question, yo, he couldn't even remember all the babies' names.
Yeah.
I think it was on Howard Stern. So it's just like, you being flagrant and talking about additional children, you can't even remember the names of the ones you got.
Yeah. Then I saw a recent one where he knew the name. I think on All the Smoke, he said all their names.
You better know all of them when you didn't get it the first time.
Yeah, All the Smoke.
You know, or even if it wasn't the first time, like, dog, you should be able to know your children's names, which leads to this. And this is a big question. So we talk about broken homes and that being a stigma. Do you think that Nick is contributing to broken homes? Now, before you answer that, what do we consider a broken home? Is it a broken home when you're not married, when you have a child out of wedlock? Is it a broken home when there is a mom and no dad present consistently, or vice versa, when there's no mom and there's a dad consistently? Is that considered a broken home? Is it a broken home when you know the children but you're not a part of their life? Is it a broken home when you don't know that you fathered children? Like, I think there's so many different ways we can look at it, but dude, you are in the spotlight. You don't have, it's not like you're just around and you just have time. You've got children in different time zones and different situations, and I do, in all fairness, I do believe that I think there was an issue with one of the mothers, because he tries to, I guess, have them all in one place as much as he can, and I think one of the mothers just wasn't for that. Like, she just didn't, she didn't respect that. She didn't like that idea. So, is he contributing to broken homes? You've got NBA YoungBoy, who has 11 children, I believe.
Oof.
And again, I don't know the exact number, but several different baby mothers, which I hate saying that, but several different women. And so, same thing. Like, when we do this, are we contributing to broken homes? Are we not setting our children up for success? Is it considered broken if you are able to financially take care of the child?
10 kids, 8 different mothers. NBA YoungBoy. And I believe he's 23. Oh, 11.
Yeah, so it was 11. I thought it was 11.
Yes, you were correct. Yeah, man, I wanted to talk about Cam Newton, because he talked about that as well. He was with, he had 4 kids with his girlfriend who he was in a relationship with, and he jeopardized that because he had a child with another young lady, and she found out, and obviously they broke up. And he said that was his biggest regret, that he stepped outside of his relationship and fathered another child. And so now he has 7. He trying his hardest to get back in the league. I'm like, yeah, I wonder why. You know what I mean? So, but come on, y'all. We just gotta make, just better decisions, man. Better decisions. One thing he did say that I like, he said, I'm not gonna have people calling me Superman on the field, and my kids not think I'm Superman or calling me Superman. I'm not gonna be Superman on the field and not be Superman when it comes to fatherhood. So I did like that, bro. And
shout out to Cam.
Yeah, shout out to Cam. Shout out to Cam.
And I mean, I don't know if that league thing is realistic at this point, but shout out to Cam, man. So, I mean, again, we leave that because everybody has their own family structure, clearly, and believe in doing things their own way. So those are questions that unfortunately we won't be able to clear the air on, and everybody agree on. But I think for your family, fellas, is that the way that you want to build your legacy, leave a legacy where you have so many children, and everybody's not Nick Cannon. Everybody can't provide. I think there was something where there is a guy who has 30 children by, I think maybe
that was crazy.
like 22 baby mothers, and it's like, dog.
That was crazy.
And had them all on the porch. I think there was a rapper that's less well known, and then there was another guy who, I don't know who he was.
Yeah, I think he was in like Tennessee or something.
Somewhere down south.
Yeah.
So it just makes you think about these things. Like, are you leading to broken homes?
The thing is, and we talked about this before. I can't remember what episode, what the topic was, but the biggest thing is time. You can provide money, but a lot of time kids want your time. Like they want to be around their father. They want to, come to my games, come to my daddy-daughter dance, come to my prom. You know what I mean? You think about all those moments you had growing up and your dad was there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even though he wasn't technically still with your mom at the time, he was still there. You just got back from visiting your dad. You know what I mean?
Shout out to my dad.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to
mine
yours
as well, for sure. And I mean, me personally, but I can answer it, but I think he is contributing to broken homes. And he being clownish with it too. Not only being reckless, but you being a clown with it, man.
Because it's not discreet, so it's almost as if like you are like, haha, like I'm able to do this.
Right.
And I got the money, so what's the problem? And I'm about to lose my life.
Right, and I got, a group of women that allow me to do this, so I'm going to do this. And it's just like, what are you doing, bro? And I mean, there have been some theories out there. Is he doing it because he does have lupus, so he's trying to leave as much of a legacy. We talk about that, the legacy, leave as much as a legacy as he can, because he doesn't know how long he'll live. Is he doing it because the women are allowing him to? Is he doing it because he wants to? You know, he said something. Well, oh man, what's saying about seed to multiply? What is it?
Oh, that God created us to be fruitful and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply. Yeah, so he threw that out there and tried to say that. I'm just like,
out of context.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna throw him up, he also has the institution of marriage. That he said that is the next. That's part of that.
Right.
So we got to be careful of.
Right.
You know, I'm the last person to try to quote stuff out of context,
Right.
and that's not necessarily the context of what we're talking about.
Right.
But if you're gonna
But
quote
he just-
from one place,
right. That's what I'm saying. He's quoting things when it's in his benefit.
right?
You know what I
Right.
mean? And again, none of us are perfect. We all have our shortcomings as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not rocking with what he's doing at all.
Yeah.
At all. I feel sorry for the women. I feel sorry definitely for the
For
kids.
the babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if there was a level of humility that came with, like I might not be around here. Like, well, then okay, maybe one woman you have multiple children, which when we clear the air in just a second, we're gonna go there.
Right.
Maybe with one, and again, it's not about trying to. It's funny we shooting on the cannon, and we talking about the cannon, but it's not about anyone trying to tell somebody how to live.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes we take and say we take judgment and confuse that with accountability, right? Because if it's okay for this person to do it, then should we all be out here doing that? And if we are, then that's a problem. I think the last thing I said before we clear the air is, when you have men of his stature, like, bro, people reading about you, there's people who look up to you. There's people who, say, man, you know what? He came from that gang culture. His pops was in them streets, and he had money coming into the game. So you can look at that and say, man, you came from, whatever, and you made it out. And that's what happens. A lot of us that, again, do come from these broken homes, we don't have anywhere to look to. So we look to the celebrities, the people that we see that get pushed out there, that we reading in the newspapers, or we seeing on social media. And I went there, newspapers, because as the generations have gone, media has changed. So let's clear the air, right? Are we being judgmental of Nick? I don't think we're being judgmental of Nick, and I've said this before. The problem is when you are a public figure, you're open to public feedback.
Public criticism.
Public criticism. So are we being judgmental? I don't believe so. I think people are observing or consuming the content out about you, and people have something to say. Yes, everyone has opinions.
And you're giving people
Fueling it.
You're fueling it, by some of the stuff that you're saying. And one thing about this platform is we're not gonna always talk about the good things. We have to talk about those hard to have conversations, and we want to have accountability.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what we prided ourselves on. And you don't clear the air on everything that's smooth. You clear the air on issues.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to say y'all are confrontational. Well, I got a different aspect on what confrontational is. I believe in confronting things so we can get through it and move on.
Right.
Again,
we gotta address it.
Right.
We did the same thing with John Moran.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of when we cleared the air, we wanted what was best for him.
Right.
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 And he's had a slip up since then,
Right.
and we'll get to that. But it's just like, come on, bro. You being flagrant.
Right.
Like you being reckless with it and distasteful.
Right.
And it's not cool.
And another thing, as we clear the air, like he's not the only one. So it's not like we just picking out Nick, but his seem to be more frequent, more in the news, and like you say, more flagrant.
Listen, since the beginning of time, there are plenty men who have a bunch of kids. We can go celebrities, athletes. We could just look at our family, our generation. Both of our grandmothers had a bunch of kids.
My great grandmother had 13.
Wow.
With my great grandfather.
I believe my grandmother had 10 on my dad's side. Then my mom's side, I want to say 5 or 6. So he's not the only person that has a bunch of kids.
Nor is it necessarily anything being said about you having a bunch of kids.
Right.
But I think sometimes it's the context in which those children and the environments that you put yourself in, and that you essentially are putting women in and putting these children in. You know?
And some people think it's selfish that you're having all these kids knowing that you may not be here long for them.
Mm-hmm. And the health concern.
The health concern, yes, because lupus is genetic.
Right.
So you might be risking your children's health by having all these kids.
Yeah.
So,
so man,
it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I don't think we would be, for what we stand for, as far as for this platform and voice that we trying to have and what we trying to do, as far as the legacy for whatever I hear the legacy, I don't think we would be doing it justice if we just sat down and not say something.
Right.
You and I talked about this for a while. We wanted to have
We
this
wanted to do it a
conversation
while
for
ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I threw out the idea, it was like, yo, let's do it on Father's Day, but put a spin on it. Yeah. And, you know, again, we're going to bring it back to positivity, because at the end of the day, it is about Father's Day. It is celebrating the fathers that are still in their child's lives.
Mm-hmm. And there are, you know, and again, maybe Nick is taking care of the kids. Maybe he
know
is
financially.
Yeah, we know. That's a given.
That's the easy.
That's a given. Right. You know, maybe he is, because like I did mention, you know, he does. We read this, that he does try to have all of his children, you know, together as much as he can, as many of them as much as he can. And shout out to Nick for that.
Yeah, and he'll you know, you'll see pictures of him with you know, his twins, with Mariah and his other kids too, I think around the holidays and stuff. So it does look like, you know, he is trying to spend that time. But again, when you're so busy with your, you know, your celebrity stuff, your entertainment stuff, you're a big media mogul, and then you have all these kids, you just spreading yourself thin, not to mention your health concerns that you already have.
Right, because that's another thing too, because, you know, you could say it's not about the money, but dude, come on, you got a lot of children. How much are they getting? And that's not a question that we need to get into. You know what I mean? But it's how much are they getting? And how hard do you have to work? Which has implications on your health. Mm-hmm. So listen, man, I think we've cleared the air. Shout out to Nick. You know, shout out to the mothers, and of course the babies. You know, we want the best for everybody, and we want to be able to say that we have figures that are leaving legacies, but doing it in a way, because that's what we want to do through the podcast, but doing it in a way that's effective and that maximizes the potential for legacy for all parties involved. So
building up homes and families, not creating broken homes and families.
Yeah, and tearing down the narrative that this is what black men do. Right,
because I'm gonna tell you like this, black men are great fathers, but we know a bunch that are. We trying to break that stereotype down. You know what I mean? I got you know what I'm saying? Both our dads. We have friends who are great, excellent fathers, bro. And that's what we want to portray. That's what we want to see. Right. We don't want to see, you know, I'm just gonna do this and I purposely did this, and you know, that's clown behavior. Yeah. That's clown behavior. Yeah. So for this episode, we want to shout out the true dads out there, the real dads out there, the ones that's holding it down. Whether you are still with the mother or not, you're not letting that affect your relationship with your child. You're being there, spending time, not just supporting financially. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's so important, bro. So important.
It is.
So important.
It is. Well, listen, y'all. Happy Father's Day to all the dads.
Happy Father's Day, Brody.
Oh,
Happy Father's Day to my dad.
Happy Father's Day to mine. Just got finished chilling with him, so that's what's up. But y'all, listen, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Make sure that you go back, man. We talk about a lot of things. Go back and check out some of the other things that we've discussed and talked about. Even on the audio experience, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just go back. Take a look at some things that we've talked about. Again, the social media, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, and the Facebook. We out here in these social media streets. And why? Because we want to leave a legacy through the podcast. Help us do that by staying connected. Peace.
Peace.